When I was 18, I started going to university for math and computer science at the University of Toronto. And when I was in school, maybe 5 weeks in, we had our first reading week. It was mid October. And I had, over the previous couple of years, stopped doing all of my business side projects, YouTube channels, websites I was making, whatever it was, just so that I could get into a good school and, grow up and move on and get a career, right? Stop playing video games, basically stop doing all the stuff that I actually liked. Um, those 5 weeks in, really what ended up happening was I was bored very quickly. I found myself depressed. I had just started going on antidepressants. I'm off of them now. I got off of them a few years ago. Don't uh, don't necessarily recommend them. I'm not trying to talk about that right now. But on that reading week, I was thinking, oh, I'm going to study, I'm going to be a good student, all of this. And I just didn't want to. So I was slacking off for most of the week, as most people do. And on the Thursday, I remember this so vividly. I was sitting down and I was thinking, I used to make Minecraft servers, all this stuff. I was able to make a few $100 a month, at 14 years old and this kind of thing. And I was thinking, well, there's got to be a way to make, $50,000 a year and do this because I love that stuff. And so I went on Google. I looked up how do you make money online, and there were some YouTube videos recommended on Google talking about drop shipping, e-commerce. Started watching a couple of those videos, and I was instantly hooked, completely hooked. I started watching the videos, and I was just, this is what I had to do, right? Not only did I see people making crazy amounts of money, like crazy amounts of money, but I was thinking if I could just make $5,000 a month in profit, my life would be about 50 times better than going into tech and making $20,000 a month or something. So from there, I couldn't sleep. I had a completely different view of the world. I felt like I saw something that nobody else saw or understood. I was walking around in public and I felt like I had access to a new world that nobody else had access to, that nobody understood. And from there, I just became extremely obsessed. I started building Shopify stores, putting money into Facebook ads, doing all of this. And just about instantly, my excitement came back up. I, was no longer nearly as depressed. And coincidentally, I started taking antidepressants right at the same time. And so I thought it was the antidepressants that made my life better. What I didn't realize at the time, I thought it was a placebo effect, or people around me thought it was a placebo effect. I actually at the time thought the antidepressants were working. Looking back now, it's just that I was doing something that I loved. I never liked school. I always felt like school was holding me back from doing what I wanted to do, which was build businesses, build YouTube channels. This is just what I liked to do as a kid. I played sports and video games and stuff too. But business was, I just kept coming back to business my whole life. From when I was, 7 years old, I was making YouTube channels and starting businesses maybe at 8 or 9 years old. So I went all in. I immediately stopped caring about school nearly as much, and I just thought, I really don't care. If this is possible, I'll spend the same amount of time that I would spend in school doing this. And even if I make $5,000 a month for the rest of my life, I will be happier. Fast forward a while, I was doing okay and at the same time pretty poorly in e-commerce. I was, having to work at PetSmart. I was one of the morning stock shift guys. So I'd be starting work at 5:30 in the morning, lugging around 45-pound bags of dog food, boxes of cat litter, not sleeping properly, just not taking care of myself well. But I had no skills. I knew what I wanted to do, and I just didn't want to go down the conventional path. I had a job offer to work full time at a company, Quest Trade. Maybe you've heard of it. I could have worked there, and I just didn't want to. I said, no, I don't want to do this. Looking back, probably would have made me some more money. And I was, willing to grind, but regardless, stopped doing the e-commerce stuff, fell into the agency space a little while later, and with time, scaled it up to $75,000 a month, fully automated it, 4 hours a week of work, 3 full-time contractors working for me, great client results, money's coming in, everything I had ever wanted, and or everything I had thought I ever wanted. And what I found was that there was actually a void. I wanted to be understood more than I wanted to be rich. I thought I wanted money. For years, I thought I wanted money. I didn't want money. I wanted what I wanted in the beginning, which was to enjoy myself and to have fun. And I got lost in money and revenue and outcome-based things and results. And that actually caused my mental to deteriorate again. Despite, improving my mental state significantly, because I had some depression issues around 17 and 18. My quality of life actually decreased a lot because I was focused on the wrong thing, not focused on what I really cared about. Like I said, what I ended up really wanting was to be understood, to have a community, to have people around me that I could talk to about what I liked, because I didn't have that. I'm a pretty introverted guy. I don't reach out to people and actively try to make friends. I have in situations before, but I've more of been like, let's let things happen naturally, and I'll meet people throughout my life. And when I meet them, if I like them and things click, great. And that's how I've made friends. I'm more of like a tight-knit circle kind of guy instead of let's go have a group of 45 friends to manage. And that's just how I do things. But that's what I really wanted. I wanted a few close friends that were as obsessed as I was. And it wasn't until I joined a community later on that I met one friend who I've had on this channel before. His name is Ali. He's an engineer. He has a YouTube channel as well. And we just would nerd out about YouTube. And I finally made, like a YouTube friend, you could say, someone who was as interested as I was. And, with time, our friendship grew, and now we've known each other for about 2 years or so. My quality of life has drastically improved. I've recently met another friend who we've kind of added to this group. His name's Hassan. He's a Create Alchemy on YouTube, smma space as well. But he's, a part of this group now. And, I have these couple guys who, we can hold each other accountable. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about. And it's always business and YouTube because we all share those two common interests. That's what I really wanted. Because in the beginning, if you remember, all I ever wanted money-wise was $5,000 a month in profit. If I could achieve $5,000 a month in profit, I'll be significantly happier. The problem was that I overcorrected, optimized too much for money. Instead of listening to my true self, which wanted to be understood, which wanted to, be less alone. And joining that community a few years ago was one of the best decisions of my life, honestly. Another thing that people don't understand about having, $75,000 a month, fully automated business and all this stuff is you have mouths to feed, right? You're responsible for these people's livelihoods and their families. You have people who have children, who have spouses, who have pets, right? They have bills to pay. And what kind of happens in a sense and this is and isn't true, is in a way you're responsible for all of their bills, because you need to make sure that enough business is coming in on a regular basis to pay them so that they can pay their bills. If they're not doing their job and you fire them, that's more on them. But if they're doing a good job and they're doing everything right, it's on you to make sure that you're bringing enough business in for them. Now, the nice thing is that, people can get jobs. They've had jobs. It's not the hardest thing in the world to get a job, especially with experience. So if you fell into this situation where you could no longer keep somebody around and support them because it's your fault in this hypothetical situation, let's say it's your fault, then you're not bringing enough business in for them to be able to survive off of. You're not able to pay them. The nice thing is that you can still provide them with a reference and help them find a job and reach out to people and see what you can do to help. So the pressure is limited, but it's still very real, because these are real people that that you talk to on a regular basis, that respect you and that trust you. And the last thing you want to do is not live up to what they thought you were. And it's a lot of pressure. I do really well under pressure personally. I know some people are better or worse than others, but that's just one of the things a lot of people don't talk about, or that I didn't hear about. It's easy to say, people don't talk about this. I'm not trying to be like that. It's something that I didn't expect in going into this. And there are some more things like, your business gets significantly messier as you scale. The problems become bigger, not smaller. The problems become bigger and they become more frequent. You need to have trust in the people you're working with, that they can handle problems and solve problems on their own. And it's you have to go through a period of strengthening just to be able to keep up with everything. Especially if you don't have the infrastructure when you're scaling. I initially didn't have the infrastructure required to scale to the level that I scaled to, but I didn't think that I would scale that much so fast. Oftentimes you don't realize when the actual point of view popping off or exploding is. You can't predict it. Especially when you've never done it before, you can't really tell what the warning signs are, and you don't know what's about to happen. So I was horribly unprepared. I became incredibly stressed out. I was, one of the symptoms I get for stress is seeing floaters in my eyes. They're just like these little, it almost looks like you're seeing cells on your eyes. That was happening to me. No longer a thing because I've adjusted. I had panic attacks because there was just so much going on, and there were other fears and things happening in my personal life that I hadn't been able to address, and my mind was so cluttered I couldn't keep up with everything. So I had a couple of panic attacks. There was a period in time for about 6 months where I was getting anywhere from I want to say 6 or 7 up to about 15 headaches a month, 4 or 5 hour headaches per day because of the stress, tension headaches they're called. These days things have balanced out, and I've learned to handle the stress, the amount of work involved. But I didn't expect any of this. I really didn't. I thought it was going to be sunshine and rainbows and Corvettes and 50 grand a month in profit and, in the next 6 months and all this stuff. And that's just not how it works unless you have already developed the skills of sales and marketing. And it's just a matter of combining the two and making something happen. But it takes years to get to that point. And, it sucks because today, thankfully, there are a lot of people on YouTube that talk about how long it takes to build a business and how hard it is. When I started out in 2017, there was no truth on YouTube, and that was my only source of education. I didn't know any entrepreneurs in person or anything. And so for me, I just thought it was supposed to be easy, and I thought that I was an idiot for not being able to make it work. And that's just the opposite of the truth. Now, thankfully, we have guys like Hermosi, for example, who are out there saying, hey, it'll take you 5 to 7 years before you actually make it, right? And that's kind of the point that I'm at right now. It's been about 6 years since I started e-commerce. It was October of 2017. It's been a bit over 6 years. And now things are really, really hitting for me. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit of this, the reality of, 75K a month and things I didn't expect, things I didn't know would happen. But yeah, click whatever video is on screen right now, and I'll see you there.